You're going to have friendships, and then all of a sudden, as you start to do different things, they're going to become less significant.
Because the availability is my time, and my time is my energy, and my health is my wealth. I cannot give more than I'm capable of giving.
It's going to actually come back again, and probably even better, because it's aligning with who I'm becoming.
Incredibly deep and meaningful relationships with other people because we cherish them more.
Today, I have Tory Archbold on the podcast. She is all things amazing. She had a business, was out of alignment, did a pivot, was a single mom for 12 years, is in a new business that's thriving. She just recently wrote a book. We talk about all things like listening to our intuition, showing up as our best selves. And as we move forward, we move everyone forward around us. So listen in, enjoy the conversation, and be sure to subscribe. Friends, today I have a friend from across the pond named Tory Archbold who is going to share her amazing story because you are going to be inspired. So Tory, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so excited, Jen. And I feel like you and I have more in common, which is going to be unraveled in this episode to pay it forward today. So thank you.
Yes. Okay, so everybody who's listening, you guys know that I had a near-death experience from a car accident, and my friend Tory has had very similar circumstances. So bring us to that story.
So it wasn't a car crash, but I was due on a flight when I had my PR agency, and we were representing the world's top performing retail brands, celebrities, and influencers. And I should have listened to my intuition, Jen, if I'm really totally honest, because my body was slowing down. I was slowing down, and I was the ultimate people pleaser running a global business. So I wasn't really listening to my body, and my appendix burst 72 hours before I was due on a flight to London. I was rushed to hospital at 2 a.m. I was operated on, and unfortunately, I got blood poisoning, which is sepsis, aka septicemia. And I was on life support for 5 days, lost 8 kilos within those 5 days, and basically had to learn how to walk again, how to go to the toilet, all this stuff. I have all these brands around the world, like, where is Tory? She's supposed to be in London. We have other events going on in other parts of the world. And I had to just sit back and trust what I'd built and trust the people around me. And ultimately, I recognized that my life was out of sync. My life was out of alignment. And this was the way the universe was saying to me, shit's got to change, girlfriend.
Yes. Girl, you got to listen to me or I'm going to make this so loud you didn't have choice to listen to me. That's my car accident. My car accident was, okay, we've given you whispers. You're not hearing it. So we're going to smack you alive, girlfriend. And that's what it did.
It's literally the bitch slap that happened to both of us. And I am really actually so grateful for that time in my life now, because I really had to look at the people that I was surrounding myself with. I was completely out of alignment with the reasons why I'd started my business, why I'd become a mom, all of these different factors. And I had to start making tough decisions to not only rebuild my life, but align my life with a better way of living. And I celebrate 10 years now of coming out the other side. And honestly, those big changes that the universe basically gifted me has allowed me now to level up and live a life that I absolutely love.
I love how you use the word gifted me, because it's so easy for us to go into victim and say, like, this happened to me, or I have to do this, or blah, 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 blah. But if you look at it as, I was given these opportunities, this is something I get to do instead of have to do, those little teeny tiny language things give you an entirely different energy about what you're going to do next. And so I love that you use that gift.
And I also think that these experiences, they don't break us, they make us. And they allow our mindset to really look at possibilities rather than challenges. And so I look at, and it might have been the same for you before you had that car accident as well. I think I was sitting in a little bit of a hot mess that I wasn't facing in my life before that happened. And it really allowed me to go, okay, well, what was my part in that? And how can I step out of that? And how can I become a better person? And so it wasn't just about, you know, the whole circumstances that I found myself in. It was about me, and it was about really making those shifts so that I could become a better person, a better leader, a better mother. and then of course, attract all the unconditional love that I deserve.
Right. I do. I feel somehow, somewhere in programming, we think we need to do more, achieve more, be more to earn love. And then when you have one of these experiences, you're like, actually, it's the opposite. I need to do, I just need to, it's always there. There's nothing to go chase after. There's nothing to go find. I am love, and love is all around me. If I'm not feeling it, that's my work to say, where am I cutting it off in my life and why? Because it's not there. It's me cutting myself off from feeling it, receiving it, and owning it.
100%. And I think that also comes down to your energy fields and your vibration and loving yourself from the inside out. And, I had 12 rounds of antibiotics after that experience with sepsis. And ultimately, I should have died from the whole thing, but I didn't. I wanted to live. And I remember the surgeon saying to me, Tori, I'm going to give you one bit of advice, and it's not medical. It's like mindset. It was mindset. And he said to me, he sat me down, and he held my hand, and he just said to me, you know what? A happy heart is a magnet for miracles. I want you to stop putting yourself at the bottom of the list. I want you to place yourself at the top of the list, above your daughter, above your business, above everything else that is like the noise in your life. And he said, when you become happier, what is going to happen is you're going to magnetize in so many different ways, and you're going to be able to bring a gift out into the world because people are just going to want to be around you. And I teach that now in powerful steps. And also I talk about a lot in my book, Self-Belief is Your Superpower. If you are happy, there are so many more possibilities in life.
Yes. And I'm like looking at my phone real quick while you're telling me this, because I had a conversation with a friend today that just got out of a long-term relationship. And the reason why the relationship broke up, from my understanding, right? I'm not like diagnosing it or whatever, but what I got to hear and listen today was that he was not able to ask for what he needed in the relationship. He didn't feel comfortable asking for it. He didn't feel comfortable having needs. And I said to him, I'm like, okay, listen, in your next relationship, I need you to, this is your mantra. It is, by asking for what I need, I'm asking for what my relationship needs. So that I'm going to repeat that mantra again. By asking for what I need, I'm asking for what my relationship needs, because he's devastated that the relationship's over. And I said, I go, but if you cared about the relationship, you have to first care about yourself, because you're a participant in the relationship. And any relationship that we have, with the ones that call us mom, with the ones that call us sister or daughter or boss or friend, all of those relationships require us to take care of our needs so that we can take care of the needs of the relationship. They're not one in lieu of the other. So I'm so glad that that surgeon gave you that message, because it's something that we think that we have to self-sacrifice and put other people first, and then everything's going to come. Actually, when you put yourself first, everything comes. I mean, it's the total opposite.
And you know what, Jen, it's so crazy because, we all travel around the world and, we're zipping everywhere. And the first thing when we hop on a plane is they say to us, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. I mean, we've been told since we were little kids to do this. I don't know why sometimes we have to wait to our 30s, 40s, and 50s to get that really powerful message. But I'm glad that, you've given that advice to your friend, because really when you love yourself from the inside out and you understand what you want versus what you need, right? There's a big difference, and you can attract the most incredible abundance. And it's got nothing to do with materialistic, wants and needs. It's got to do with happiness. And you know what? Happiness opens doors. Happiness gives you opportunities, and happiness gives you a good life because you wake up in the morning with freedom in your heart. There is nothing weighing you down. You just like this light, breezy thing that goes through life, who's able to help other people because you can see the value in what you've experienced to pay that knowledge forward. And, for your friend as well, it's devastating when a relationship ends, but what's the life lesson? What's the level up? And what's the opportunity?
You hear that, people? That's a mic drop moment. What's the lesson? What's the level up? And what's the opportunity, right? All of those things always exist. We just have to decide what thoughts we're choosing to put energy into. And whatever thoughts we choose to put energy into is what gets momentum and continues to snowball and grow. And I had this experience where when I was younger, I was working in finance. And I remember thinking, if I made $100,000 a year, I'd be happy, right? And so I'm like, I'm just going to plug to that happens. And it was this if-then contract with myself. If I get there, then I get to have this thing. And so it's easy to show in money, I think, for a lot of us, because it's such a definite, like, hey, did you achieve it or not achieve it, right? And so I remember making 100. Then I remember doubling that. And then I remember doubling that. And nothing changed. My happiness didn't change. My car payment changed. My house payment changed, right? But nothing, like it wasn't like all of a sudden I was happy. So unless you learn how to be happy now, I promise you that when you get to that if then, it's not going to happen. It starts today with where you are, and then it just continues to magnify.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that as well, because I know that, on the highway of life, we all tick boxes, better house, better handbag, better holidays, whatever it is. But when you have that near-death experience that you and I had, you look around and you go, really, that Chanel handbag does not matter. That car doesn't matter. I can't drive the car. What does the car matter? And you really look at what's important. And I think that for anyone listening to this podcast now is just to take a moment to go inside yourself and really just ask yourself, like, what are the top 5 things that actually make you happy? What makes you happy? And when you can actually get to the essence of that, what you'll realize is you don't need anything else. You can strip it all out. You can stop, as you say, going for those higher salary points or wanting that better car or, showing up in the latest designer outfit. Really, it doesn't matter. Hire something sustainable and invest, the money in helping other people or getting the therapy that you need to move forward.
Yes. I had never been camping before I moved to Utah. So I moved to Utah in 2015. And I remember we go camping for the first time. We went down to Moab. We did this biking trip. And it was like a $400 weekend, like the whole weekend from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, gas, food, like all the things. And I remember coming home saying, I used to go to $400 dinners. Okay. And I had a whole weekend where we spent $400, and it was one of my best, most amazing, substantial memories. I remember sitting out at night, and we were in an area where there's no light pollution. So you could see the stars in the sky like I had never seen them before. And I kept saying to the people that I went camping with, they'd done it 1,000 times. I'm like, do you see that? Do you see those? Like, do people know that this is like available? Like, are you kidding me? No one told me. This is like, I was a kid in a candy store. And that experience just reminded me, like, there's so much beauty around us all the time that's free, 100% free.
It's the $1 million experience by just stopping and being in nature. It's like, when you go for a walk or when you lie down or, you do something outside your comfort zone. Like I have women that come to me for mentoring and they're stuck. And I say, it's because you're not slowing down. Go find a park, starfish, and look at the sky. Exactly what you're saying. And they're like, Tory, you are so crazy. Why would we do that in broad daylight? And I go, because you can. And I have these women sending me photos of them with the happiest faces. They're like, we can't believe how this makes us feel. And it's like, you're doing something which is just opening your eyes up to what's out there. And it's almost childlike play to understand that, you know what? There's a gift of the universe out here. Are you actually living in the present? Are you living your life and what actually matters?
Yeah, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, but as we're talking about this happiness and everything else, it is not this linear path of happiness going forward. I just don't think that's the human state. I think we have things that come and there's sad moments, right? But you can be sad and honor the sadness of certain events, especially as you grow or you shift. You're going to have friendships that were so significant. And then all of a sudden, as you start to do different things, they're going to become less significant. And that's sad. But you can also be grateful for the relationship that you had during the time that you had it, right? And so I a lot of times feel people get stuck or they don't get to experience as much as maybe they could because that sadness becomes so debilitating. And I just want to talk about it briefly because I feel like it's part of it. And it doesn't mean both things can't exist. I'm sad that this friendship is no longer, but I'm grateful for the experience and the time that it did serve my life. And if I had it once, it's going to actually come back again and probably even better because it's aligning with who I'm becoming. So how have you navigated these types of situations as you've shifted into your different powers?
Yeah, I love the power of journaling and manifestation, Jen. And I journal most days, and I feel like it is really important to write down your feelings and really understand who's there to support you. But I also, every year, instead of having a New Year's resolution, is I'm going to lose 5 kilos and look fabulous by by February. I'm like, that's a crock of shit. We're not going to do that. I go, look at the past year. You are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. Who has been by your side? Now, I've been doing this for over a decade now since that experience. And you know what? There's always a core 3 people in that 5 that I take forward and spend my time with in the new year. But there's often 2 people that, as you say, just shift away. And I go, that is okay, because right here, right now, you are so limited with the time and the energy that you're able to give other people. I find that's really sacred. So, I got married at 46. I found my soulmate. I know, but when a lot of people are like already married for many, many years, but that was my journey, right? And I say to my husband, we have this beautiful blended family now, and we have each other, and we're now in business together as well. But who are the friends that we really want to spend time with? Because we travel a lot. And we do that together as well. And it's also shifted his thinking of, oh, we've actually invited these people into our home so many times, but they've never invited us back. Is that a relationship that we want to move forward? Right. So there are different things, because I believe that relationships are a mutual exchange of energy. And I'm over the giving. I'm about, okay, well, what can we do together? What value can we have together? And what we've found by just looking at the sum of the 5 people and what they actually, give in terms of a mutual exchange of energy, because we're all natural givers, right? It's allowed us to have a powerful tribe, and it's allowed us to build more incredibly deep and meaningful relationships with other people because we cherish them more, rather than just going in year on year on year just out of obligation, showing up to things that you don't really want to be a part of. So I think it's okay to be brutally honest with yourself about the people in your life who you choose to spend time with. And it's the same in business as well. Like we all have relationships, decades long relationships that we trust and we invest in, because it's a mutual exchange of energy. Like life is not a one-way street. So if you're trying to really transform right now, the number one thing to do is look at the relationships, whether they're family and you need to break patterns, whether they're, friends that aren't so great for you or always leaning on you for support, but when you call them, they're not there. Or those friends that, get a little bit hot and jealous along the highway of life. And you're like, well, why? I'm happy for your success. Why aren't you happy for mine? Or whether it's like business relationships that are out of sync. Like, don't be afraid to say no and goodbye, because you're creating space for something better, as you say, to come in and find you so that you can still have that happy heart.
Now, how do you hold yourself accountable to say, for me, I look at my calendar every quarter and I look back on it and I say, okay, here's things that are bringing energy to my life. Here's things that I feel good about. Here's things that, oh, they aren't quite working. I'll give you an example. I have 7 children. It's a ton to manage, just making sure everybody gets one-on-one time and everybody's feeling connected. For one quarter, I decided I don't want to be driving them to activities because I spend so much time in the car. I want to be at home and I'm going to be with whoever's at home. Well, I realized when we're in the car, we don't have as many distractions. So then I actually get to hear more of the stories of what's going on, or we're like forced to talk because there's not the computer or another friend or whatever else. We're in the same car together. If they call their friend, I'm going to hear the whole conversation. So they want to talk to me. So then I realized, oh, I'm going to actually take the driving back over and I'm going to let somebody else stay at home because that wasn't working. So having that check-in and that accountability has allowed me to stay more intentional, more purposeful as I keep building out each quarter of my life. What methodologies are you using to say, okay, these are 5 people, or here's 3 people that we want to continue with, or here's not working. So how do we shift?
Yeah, so we sit down and we schedule as well. And because we schedule all the time and we merge everything in. And our number one priority for time spent is with our kids. That is the number one out of, everything. Because like you say, it's those journeys in the car that are so important because you tap into the soul of what's happening with them. And then, you know what? We just let people know we're available here. Let's make it happen, and you always want to be tapping in with people, whether it's a phone call, a text, or, everyone's on Instagram direct messages now, whatever it is, to stay connected with people. But, I'm a big entertainer. I love having people into our home. And I love going away for weekends, and we've got a lot of friends that love traveling as well. So we make it happen, but we plan in advance. But we also, because we work together, we need to plan me time, like, what are we doing for our relationship? What's the date night? What's the non-negotiables? So all of those go into the diary, just the same as exercise. But, I love the fact that you realize that you couldn't delegate the kids. Like for me, I write about in my book as well, I delegate cooking. I am a terrible cook. I burn spaghetti. I'm like the world's worst cook. I don't know what it is, but I realized years ago, Tory, you're not good at this. That's okay. Delegate it to someone else, free your time up and invest it more in conversations with your daughter, right? You don't need to be doing stuff that you're not good at. You can actually outsource that. So in terms of structure, I really look at the art of delegation and also synchronicity, and I use tech to make sure that I create space. So even if someone wants to book a coffee date with me or they want to spend time in my diary, in advance, I map out the times I'm available that people can tap into. So if you're a new client or, you're going on a podcast or whatever, it's the same as you schedule it. You send people the link and it's like, this is when I'm available. And if someone goes, I'm not available, then I'm like, well, there are other times, just check it out when you are available, because the availability is my time, and my time is my energy, and my health is my wealth. I cannot give more than I'm capable of giving.
You just dropped a whole bunch of goodness right there. My health is my wealth. Time is my energy. Here I'm going to have, and we're using technology. The Calendly has to be my favorite app ever because it gets rid of all the back and forth. And here's what's open. Let's make this work. And just being very intentional and knowing, hey, here's where my strengths are. Here's where I'm not thriving, nor do I really enjoy it. Like I burn water. So I totally understand this whole like burning spaghetti thing. Like I literally can burn water. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah. So what are you liking most about your career right now with helping everybody and doing this whole coaching and retreats and everything there?
Do I love watching women tap into the power of their story and getting a really true understanding of who they are so that they can elevate to the next level. And the women that we attract into our programs, they're highly successful. They're women like you, Jen. They've had great success, but they've also had survival. But they say, how can I become more visible? How can I pay forward my knowledge? How can I, double my business? But they're doubling their business from a heart perspective because they know that their business can help other people. And so using the framework of 20 plus years working with, powerful brands and celebrities and CEOs and influencers, I created a roadmap for women to rise. And it just gives me great happiness. Every single day there's a story about someone stepping forward or quitting a job or quitting a toxic relationship and going, I can do this because I know that the next step forward for me is going to be more powerful. So that's what gives me the greatest happiness, is seeing other people succeed. And also, I don't think if I was not vulnerable, it wouldn't have given these women permission to come forward and say, I need help.
I mean, it is weird, but we do meet each other in pain, right? When we're in pain, that's when our awareness awakens and says, okay, I need to do different because I don't want to feel this way. So being able to be vulnerable, share those painful moments, it allows connection and allows each person to move forward. And I love that you build a roadmap, because it's like when I'm in mountains and there's people that have been on the mountain before. I can look over their notes. I can say like, oh, okay, here we need to go from A to B. And when you have trails already marked, your brain gets to focus on other things and be more aware. when you're on a mountain and there's no map ahead of you. I mean, you're making steps forward, but those steps forward, you're second guessing every single one of them. And it just takes so much more energy and so much more effort to do the same thing. And so as humans that are progressing forward and making a difference, keeping those notes, sharing that roadmap and helping somebody else at least gives meaning to the struggle. And then at least makes it easier for the next person so that they can make it easier for the next person. And we continuously evolve into something better.
That's exactly right. And, I think, taking those steps forward on the mountain is also built on trust, but you trust yourself to do that, right? You trust because you know yourself. But a lot of women don't trust themselves because they haven't taken the step back to know themselves. And there is a big difference in, women stepping up to the next level in life. It's got to be a willingness, as you say, to take that step forward and to trust the process, but also trust the fact that you could be stepping into the unknown. And the unknown is a really powerful place to be. And to get uncomfortable is the only way you can level up. Get uncomfortable so that you can kick those goals. And it goes right back to what you're saying about trusting the steps that you take forward and trusting yourself and knowing that when you back yourself, anything is possible. Because I'm one of those people, I don't want to die wondering. I don't know about you after the near death experience, but I was like, that's it. I'm not going to be like not ticking off the list that I want to go and do and conquer around the world. And it sounds like you were the same thing. When you did the world breaking effort on the mountain, it's like live in the moment, live in today, be present, and don't be afraid to get uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think for me, the success was the experience, right? I define my success as experiencing something. If I didn't summit the mountain, yeah, of course I went to the mountain to attempt to summit it. But I had so much experience on that mountain that I would have never had otherwise. I remember standing on mountaintops thinking, I'll never be here again. Like this story's done. I need to take in every moment of this story because I'm not coming back. I'm not doing Everest again. I mean, one of my kids begged me I would, but I'm not doing Everest again. There's so many other things. This whole universe is a playground. And there's so many things I want to do and experience. And so learning how to say, hey, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Like, look at what I learned. Look at what I got to see. Look what I got to taste or try or do. And that knowledge, plays it forward so many different ways in different pursuits. I mean, it's interesting to me to see how much from the mountains plays into business and how much from raising a household plays into the mountains. And I mean, it's so related on so many levels.
It is. And if you just look around, you can see those synchronicities and those key learnings are applicable in every part of your life for you to step up and become a better person.
Okay. So how do people find you, to work with you, and to all the good things that you have to bring?
So here's the thing, Jen, I believe in the law of attraction.
Yes, I love it. I just interviewed another person on the law of attraction. She wrote a book about it.
It's really good. I always say, Google someone and learn about who they are. And, is there something in that Google that actually relates back to how they can help you, and then connect. So never follow for follow's sake, because your inbox will be cluttered, your social media will be cluttered. But look, my name is Tory Archbold, Tory, and then Archbold. And what Captain Google says about me is my raw, authentic self. So I'm powerful-steps.com. We do a whole lot of programs for women to rise. I've got a book called Self-Belief is Your Superpower. And I love everyone reaching out to me and tagging me on what they've learned from the book. And you can do that at Powerful Steps on Instagram.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that book a little bit more. I'm sorry, I skipped over that piece, but let's tell us your favorite thing about the book.
Well, here's the thing, Jen. I think when you trust yourself, you back yourself, you're able to share the key learnings and pay them forward. And the book, look, everyone wanted me to write the story of my life, because we didn't go into it on this podcast chat, but I had a story of success and survival before my near-death experience. And, I had a very high-profile, glamorous career as a publicist. I had 22 staff, 2 personal assistants, 1 for my daughter and I, 1 for my business. I'm traveling around the world, making it happen for everyone else except for myself. But behind the scenes, there was a lot of trauma going on with my ex. And I had to step into my power. And after 12 years in the family law court, I got rid of my lawyer. I became the lawyer. I won full custody and I won a restraining order, and it changed my life. Yeah, so there's like this crazy story that everyone wanted to do a book on, and like a Netflix. And I was like, it just doesn't feel right. What feels right for me is to go out with a book that empowers women. And I do go into that a little bit in the book, but I really wanted women to get the framework of the runway of life as to how they can build their own personal confidence. They can break patterns, they can break through judgment, imposter syndrome, all those things, and tap into the power of my story and people I've met along the highway of life to really get to the next level. Because I believe self-belief is something, it's free, it comes from within. And I wanted to show people how they could tap into that. And so, yeah, the book is basically called Self-Belief is Your Superpower, and How to Become a Magnet for Miracles. And I talk about the synchronicities, and I guess, the spiritual awakening that I had through all of this, and how I have been able to tap into that to help others. So,
One of the stories that you have that I know briefly, but I know the audience here listening knows zero of, which I think is fun to highlight, is how different people show up in our lives and the messages come at the right time. So the synchronicities, and it causes us to do a pivot or change the trajectory of our lives. And Drew Barrymore was that for you. So can you share that story a little bit? Because I think that one's pretty magnificent.
look, it's pretty good, and it's really interesting because I write about the book, how butterflies always turn up in my life when I'm about to level up. And I didn't realize until after I'd worked with Drew that she had the butterfly, which is the transformation, the metamorphosis for like leveling up as well. So I was introduced to Drew from her best friend at school, and I didn't realize, and this is where you got to trust the magic of new beginnings. I got an email saying, hey, my friend's launching a beauty brand in Australia, would you like to represent her and help her? And I was like, yes, of course, please introduce. And of course it was Drew Barrymore's flower beauty brand. And that literally, I'd launched Victoria's Secret into Australia. I'd been at the last show with all the girls in New York, and obviously they don't do the show anymore. So that was kind of like a massive experience for me. And I'd launched Steve Madden into Australia, and then along came Drew, and it was like three of the most powerful brands and people, right? In America, they're multi-billion-dollar businesses, and Drew obviously is this incredible woman. And you got to ask yourself, why has the universe given me this? What are the key learnings here, right? So the key learnings are this. For the Victoria's Secret show, we were all told to wear black and blend into the background. Yet a lot of those models, before they went out onto the runway, were having panic attacks. And I was able to help, them by giving them calming exercises and all the rest of it. And I said to myself, wow, you know what? I'm here for a reason. Then we launched Steve Madden into Australia, and I just love the power of his story because he'd done the wrong thing, yet he'd owned it. Yet when he was in prison, he decided to hire all his buddies from prison back into his business, and he propelled forward into a different level. And I was like, wow, here's another lesson. It's like, don't judge, because you can pay forward your knowledge and you can resurrect, like you can, come back as something else and really help other people. And then Drew, the moment was, I'd never had a photo with a celebrity in my career. And I worked with some pretty amazing people. And my daughter had said to me, Mom, I want to meet Drew Barrymore. And she wanted to take the day off school. And I don't know why I said yes, but I just said yes. And she's in this photo with Drew, and we're in this iconic place called Icebergs on Bondi Beach. And, everything's going really well. And my daughter's in that photo with Drew. And Drew's like, Tori, come into the photo. And I knew in that heartbeat that my career was over. I jumped in the photo. And as soon as the photographer went click, I was like, this part of your journey's over. And then she got up on stage and she spoke about female empowerment, the power of her story, how she was paying it forward. And the one thing she wanted to walk away when she left Australia with was new beginnings for her. And she really wanted the talk show, right? For me, I had actually shared my story with Marie Claire magazine, and it was based on success and survival. It was like a 3-page feature on what actually happened while I was building my global business, right? Which is the whole trauma piece with my ex. And I'd said to Marie Claire magazine, please do not release the story until after Drew's left the country. Now, synchronicities in life happen. I say Drew Barrymore ended my PR career in the most magical and most powerful way because I broke my golden rule about being photographed with someone. She taught me and everyone else in the room about if you share your story, the power of paying it forward. Now, what happened was she got that talk show. My Marie Claire article basically went viral. And I was like, "Ah, I'm shutting my agency. I'm finding everyone a job and I'm going to start again." And I was 44 years old. And that's what happened. And I talk about it in the book.
I love it. I love it. She's like, I want to be on her show someday. That's on my like bucket list to be on her show someday.
You will do that. You will do that. And you know what? When the timing's right, I'm going to reach out to her and share the story. But you know what? She really stepped into her power and she knew what she wanted. And what I love about Drew is she's not afraid to be herself and she's raw and authentic. And honestly, that moment in time, I believe that the universe brought us together so that I could make the decision to walk away from something, to start again, to stand in my power. And the universe gifted her a platform to help billions of people around the world with all the good work that she does on that talk show, because really, she's a platform for people to share their stories.
It's so interesting how life just magically pulls together because when I look back on my story, the things that, I mean, I didn't even climbed a mountain before, right? Like, I mean, it's one of those things where things, and then I can't imagine my story being any different than what it is. But all these little pieces just kind of click together and here we are and onward we go. And the universe brought me to you and you to me. And I just think it's so fun to have this stuff happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Very, very grateful. And I do also want to say thank you to the power of connection and the people that have connected us. Because if you don't ask who you should connect with, you never know what impact you have on other people's lives. So thank you, Steve and the crew, for the introduction to Jen. And I think it's really important because, you know, you and I both have a podcast. Mine's called Powerful Stories. You're going to be on that in a few weeks as well. You know, when we sit down and we have these chats, we never know who's listening, Jen. We never know who might hear the power of what we're saying and go, I can make that shift in my life as well. I can take that powerful step forward. But I also love this collaboration approach where it's like, well, how can we help each other? And how can we help more people? So thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast today and having that platform and a voice.
Well, I'll tell you, my listeners are so grateful you showed up. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.